Good evening, everybody. Good morning here in Hong Kong. Travis is attending a family funeral this morning and then flying on to Peru this afternoon, your time. So I'm actually going to do this hangout by myself. And for those of you that are watching live, thank you so much for showing up, and thank you for taking time in your day. I've put the Q&A on, so you can certainly let me know that you're here and asking questions. And for those of you that are watching in replay, thanks for taking time out of your day to come and spend some time with me. Today is going to be a little bit different than what we've been doing in the past. And what I mean by that is we've spent a lot of time being very specific about skills, attitudes, and beliefs with network marketing. And this is going to apply to that as well. But today, I'm kind of going to change focus and talk about the next stage of leadership and talk about a method and a technique that I've always used to learn how to communicate better, to learn how to find material with which to adapt it, to be able to work within your network marketing company, and more importantly, to learn how to teach. And that's what we're going to talk about is leadership and teaching. You know, before we go into that, though, I want to tell you how I came to this and how it became very, very simple for me. I've got a good friend. He's a marvelous, marvelous teacher. He's fantastically successful, both in the internet space and in network marketing, and that's Ray Higdon. And I was at an event where Ray was speaking, and he taught, oh, good morning, everybody. And he taught a section on just a way to become better, to become a better everything, a better presenter, a better, more knowledgeable, to expand your thinking. And what he called that was ILT. And if you want to go ahead and write down ILT, I'll tell you what they mean. The I stands for invest. And when people say invest, and he means specifically in your education, because honestly, what separates leaders, people that have the life that other people dream of, more than anything, is their level of education. And I'm not really speaking of school, you know, reading, writing, arithmetic, high school, you know, junior high, etc. Because schooling, while necessary, is something that's kind of forced on us by our parents and the government. We have to go to school. We have to be educated until we're at least 16 years of age. And because of that, that's not really self-education. And self-education is not necessarily studying a discipline or learning how to become this or that. It's about learning how to become a critical thinker, becoming aware so that your decisions are your own, and you go out and you find the information necessary to make a decision so that you're comfortable. So he talks about invest. It really means in education, the most important investment there that you have is your time. It's your time. And right now, you're investing time being here with me. The L stands for learn. So we're going to invest our time and we're going to learn. Because as you get new information, as you hear different points of view, your own point of view can change. And with your changed point of view, vantage point, your conclusions can change. And this is what we learn. And the T stands for teach. And this is where we take what we've invested in, what we've learned, and we go out and we teach it to others. Because people really say that, off, where do you get content, and how do you find out this, and how do you find out that? And a lot of it comes from exposure to new ideas, to other people's trainings. There aren't that many new ideas. There's your own unique way of presenting it, your own story. So invest, learn, teach. And it's a wonderful, wonderful mechanism. And I'd like to tell you how it comes into play and a methodology that you can use, because there's information everywhere. Now, when I'm talking about learning specifically today, and what we're talking about today is personal development and critical thinking, changing the way that you think so that you look at the world in a new way, which then, of course, makes the world different. Tactile training is super important, skills training, but we all know that you can master a skill through repetition, regardless of what it is. If you do something over and over and over again, you will get better at it. So what to do is relatively simple. When I say simple, I mean that not everybody does it, and certainly if we don't have the motivation, we don't do it. But if you want to become a runner, and run a marathon, you can go online and there's a very specific path that you will follow of things that you will do, that as you do them repetitively, you will get better over time. And eventually, if you persist and you're consistent with your effort and you follow the plan, however long it takes, you will, in fact, unless you are physically impaired from doing so, be able to run the half marathon or the marathon. So that is skills training. First, you learn what to do, and then you repeat it over time, over and over again, and you can get better at it. What I'm talking about now is somewhat different. It's what separates those that have the life they want and those that don't. And we always say that that's about vision. And people that don't have a great life don't have enough vision, or they don't have any vision. And you know, that's not really true. If you were to meet somebody who's working in a job, you know, perhaps whatever job it is at a factory or something or other than that, or, you know, an entry-level position in a company, and you were to say to them, what is your vision? Where do you think you'll be in the next 5 years? Chances are they're not going to say, you know, I'm going to be sitting here in my entry-level position. They're going to tell you, no, well, I think that in 5 years I could be possibly a supervisor. Maybe I'll be making 15 to 20% more income. You know, I'll have 15 vacation days instead of 8 or 10. And they're excited about that. Now, for those of you that have crossed the bridge into entrepreneurship, you hear something like that and you're like, gosh, that person has no vision. They could have so much more. They could be so much more. But it's not fair to say they don't have vision. That is a picture. Remember, we've talked about this. We don't get what we want. We get what we picture. Well, they have a picture of a future that is different than right now. They're on a path. We may feel it's not a very exciting path, certainly not the path that they deserve, but they do have one. They do have a picture. And people that have what I would call less than grandiose pictures, it's a function of a lack of expanded thinking. And so that is really what it comes about. And that's what Curtis and I spend a lot of time on. We ask a lot of questions to hopefully get people to look at things differently, think differently, so that they can come to different conclusions and create a bigger picture for themselves. We tell stories. We bring other people to tell their stories to help hit those points home. So let me tell you what I did with Ray's ILT. And it's pretty interesting. And you're free to use any resource that you want, but when we talk about invest, there's a multitude of resources available online, available in books that really don't cost money. Now, books are wonderful, and I firmly believe in feeding your mind great stuff, so I'm always reading something, usually something relating to business that takes me forever and a day to finish because I'm bored, and something that tells me a lot of stories, bringing the same points home, and I read very quickly. But by far, audio is very good. I can listen to audio in a car. You can as well. I can listen to it when I'm working out on on earbuds. But by far, in my opinion, the most effective training, other than when you're live there in the room, of course, is video, because it attacks a multitude of your senses. And I love TED Talks. That's what I use. I use TED Talks to expand my thinking, change my mood, get me to get in a different headspace than I'm in at the moment, or because I want to learn something new, or because I want to stay current. And let me tell you why TED Talks are so effective for me. First of all, the whole premise of TED Talks is ideas worth spreading. It's people from all different walks of life that are telling you things that they've discovered that they believe are helping you to look at things perhaps in a new way. They're anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes long. So they're very easy for anybody on a given day to go and say, you know, I need some inspiration, or I want to think differently, or I want to change my space. So I'm going to go watch TED Talk, because who can't find 20 minutes? And what if 20 minutes could change your life? And I'm about to tell you a story how it changed mine 3 days ago. So anyway, 3 days ago, I was having the end of what has been a very rough, tough, what's the word I'm looking for? Boring week. And when I say boring, I've been working a lot on spreadsheets and a lot on infrastructure and a lot of organizational stuff and planning and running down suppliers and vendors, all of which is necessary, but none of which particularly sparks your creativity. And a couple of days ago, actually on Curtis's birthday, I just said, you know, I need some inspiration. So this is the method that I follow with TED Talks. I will go to either TED.com or YouTube, and I will just Google TED Talks, TEDx Talks, TEDx youth, you know, TEDx women, depending on how specifically I want to get. And I will just look for the title of a talk that sounds intriguing. And when I find one, I'll click on it. And if it doesn't capture my attention in the first 90 seconds to 3 minutes, I will cut it off and I will go find another one. So what you're looking for, if you decide to accept this assignment and try this as we go through it today, is sometime in the next week, go to TED and find a title that excites you and look for something that's truly going to engage you, where you get just fascinated with wondering what's coming next, where you just find yourself thinking. And if the first one or the second one you find doesn't do that, keep moving. Because let me tell you what happened to me. I went to TED and I found a title and it sounded quite interesting to me. And I usually don't care where the people come from. It's more about what they're going to talk about, because it's going to help you engage, help you change your thinking. And I turned it on and guy started talking, and he got about a minute in and said, you know, I've spent my career working with quantum physics. Okay. Everybody looking at me, my techno idiocy is well known. Do any of us believe that if I watch 20 minutes or 20 months of stuff on quantum physics, that I'm going to understand enough about whatever he's talking about to inspire me? Now, it may be a great talk. It may not mention quantum physics at all, but the mood I was in, I shut that down. And then I went to the second one, and it began very, very promising. A good story, a very successful person talking about failures and successes that they had had. And I thought, okay, this is really it. And then at about the 7-minute mark, he proceeded to say that he had had all this change in his life, and he firmly believed, for whoever was watching, that by far the best strategy to go from weak to strong, the best strategy to transform your life and the life of those around you, the best strategy to become the person you are destined to be was, and wait for it, martial arts. Now, that may be true, and there may be a lot of people watching this that just love martial arts. But again, the mood that I was in, that did not resonate with me, so I turned it off. And then I found one that was, let's say the third time is the charm. It was a talk that was entitled "The 5 Phrases That Can Change Your Life" by Adam Braun. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Adam Braun, I was vaguely familiar. I'm not more familiar now. He is about 30 years old. He's made the Forbes 30 under 30, primarily because he started an organization called Pencils for Promise, building schools in developing countries to educate those young children who have no access to education, and to educate them in ways that make them think, not the traditional sit in a chair all day and learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. And this title, "The 5 Phrases That Can Change Your Life," really captured me. So I said, this is it. And what he did was he went through the 5 phrases that or the 5 conclusions that he drew about how to have anything in life, have a successful, happy life at key points in his life. And those were 21, 23, 25, 27, and 29. And he told the story of how he came to the purpose of this organization that he built, how he put it into play, what happened. And as he told the story over this 10 years of how he actually ended up where he is today with Pencils for Profit, changing the scope of education, he shared these phrases. He told you, he told the story of his life. He told you how these phrases came to be. And I loved listening to the story. But as I was listening to the phrases, I realized that they were amazing. It was radically changing not only my state, but the way that I was looking at things. And it reminded me of what happens to us. And I'm going to take you through that as I share the phrases with you. So grab a pen and paper. It's going to be real easy today. You're just going to write down 5 phrases. Obviously, the first thing you wrote down, for those of you who may have joined late, because I see we have a lot of people here now, is ILT, which is a strategy for getting better, becoming a better leader, building better teams, building better groups. And that's that we invest in our education, sometimes money, but more often than not, our time, because there are so many free resources. We learn, and then we go out and we teach others what we've learned. And before I go into the scope of this talk, I want to point out that you never really know how to do anything until you teach it. It is in teaching something to someone else that we actually learn it ourselves. And I'll give you an example that may bring this home for you. If you were in a family that had a secret recipe that had been handed down for generations and generations of food, and almost every family does. You know, Aunt Molly's incredible gingerbread, or, you know, my grandmother Susan's incredible chocolate chip cookie recipe that just nobody else can duplicate. And you've learned how to make it. Chances are the recipe that was written down was lost long ago, if there ever was one. You just know what you're doing. You know how to make that soup because it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's fabulous. And it's gone from generation to generation. And one day, a friend of yours says, hey, Mark, hey, Lisa, hey, Travis, hey, Rob, hey, Tiffany, I think, hey, David, you know, hey, John, those cookies, that soup is absolutely amazing. Can I get the recipe? And you stop and you think, you know, I don't have it written down in recipe format. And they're like, no problem. Can you just write down what you do? And you start going, well, what do I do? You've been doing it for so long. You've been doing it by rote for so long that it just comes to you naturally, you know, and you don't really know. So what you have to then do is stop. And as you go through every step of making that soup, baking those cookies, you have to write it down in such a way that it comes out in a format that somebody else, when you are not there, could actually duplicate that result. And in having to go through that process of deconstructing what you've always done by second nature, you actually learn what it is and what it is you're doing and how to do it effectively. It's actually the first time you may find a more efficient way of reaching the end result. So it's the same thing with anything else. You know, you have to learn it and you think you know it, but until you can articulate it and communicate it effectively to a group of people and paint a picture for them where you're going to take them, it's not really a learned lesson, and it's not really well demonstrated in your leadership. So back to where I was. I sit down, I'm watching this talk, I'm fascinated, and he starts with the first thing he learned. And you want to write down number one. And it says, get out of your comfort zone. Now, for anybody who's an entrepreneur, particularly anybody who's operated in the network marketing space, the entrepreneurial space, any athlete, get out of your comfort zone is not new. We've all heard it 1,000 times. But it really is very, very true, because people tend to have great results, achieve great things, make strides in their life when they are operating in their struggles rather than in their complacency. A complacent person is not necessarily motivated to move. And notice I didn't use the word content, and I didn't use the word happy, and I didn't use the word satisfying. I used the word complacent, because people's comfort zone does not necessarily describe a place that they are happy. In fact, it often doesn't mean that they're happy at all. What it means is that very little in their life that occurs is something that makes them feel as if they are out of control, makes them feel as if they are in fear of the unknown. It's unlikely that a person who is fearful is looking to go into the unknown. It's unlikely that a person who is very, very, very comfortable is going to make a change without some sort of stimulation from internal, external, combination of both, even if what they're comfortable with is awful. They don't like their life. They're not happy. You go out and you talk to them in your business and they will tell you, I'm not happy. Is this all there is to life? I thought I would have more. I thought by now I'd have traveled to X, Y, and Z. I thought by now I'd live in a better house. So they're not happy, but they are comfortable. Nothing much occurs in their world that they are unprepared for. But everything that you want, if you want a better life, is on the other side of your comfort zone. And where this gets particularly difficult is in two phases of your life. When you've been in a space where you're not happy for so long, but you're so comfortable with it, that the idea of change is so overwhelming that you can't see a picture in which anything is better. The second time that it happens is when your comfort zone becomes a pretty good lifestyle, when you are pretty happy, when you say there's enough money and I get to travel and I get to do this. And you find that with a lot of leaders and a lot of people that are at the top or in the above average spaces within their discipline, within their space, whatever it is they might do. For example, I've been doing network marketing and operating in network marketing for more than a quarter of a century. I teach and train all the time. I've sat through the very best of the best and some of the worst of the worst, and I learned from both over a 20-year period. So my repertoire of trainings is pretty extensive. So it's not often that I really go out and I get better. You know, where I go and say, let me go learn something new that I can pass along. It seems as if there isn't enough time to pass along the basics or the trainings that you've done many, many times. This is only the second time that I've talked about this. So it's not as comfortable for me as if I had gotten on here and taught you the ABCs of network marketing. That's a signature training of mine. I've been doing it for years. I get asked to do it everywhere. And honestly, after 20 years, I do it quite well, even when I'm being translated to another language. But this is new. This is the second time. And, you know, by the 8th or 9th time, I'll have really fine-tuned this into a really, you know, really effective talk, I hope. But I'm out of my comfort zone. But it makes you feel better because it's, wow, something new that I can give people that maybe will give them a different perspective. So number one is get out of your comfort zone. Number two, really, really hit me. And write this down because it is so powerful, and you may not realize its power till somewhat later in the day or the week. Number two was challenge your assumptions so that you can find your truths. Challenge your assumptions so you can find your truths, both your inner truths and your external truths. And this is really what holds so many of us back. We believe things because we believe them. When challenged, we don't really know why we believe them. And I'll give you one that we deal with every day in our profession. Network marketing doesn't work. That's an assumption that not only will many of the people you go talk to be deploying, it's one that you may have believed yourself before you crossed over to where you are now. So let's go with that network marketing doesn't work. If we accept that as true, then we never have to go find out what network marketing is all about. We never have to go find out, you know, if it's something that could possibly change our life. We never have to go believe that perhaps things don't have to be the way they are. There is a better way. So let's examine that assumption. Network marketing doesn't work. Probably true. Let's assume that it's probably true. But what if it does? What if the person who told me that network marketing doesn't work, that I assumed knew what they were talking about, heard it from somebody else, who heard it from somebody else, who heard it from somebody else, who heard it from somebody else. And when we track it all the way back to where that game of operator started, the person that decided network marketing doesn't work, we come to find out, joined a company, bought product, never contacted anybody, never shared the product with anybody, never went to a company event, never did anything except buy the product, and probably with a bunch of false expectations of what would happen next, and got up one day and said, oh my goodness, you know that product that I bought for that thing I was going to make money? Would you believe that it didn't get up this morning, put on its little clothes, march down the street, ring the doorbell of my neighbor, invite itself in for tea and said, I'm a wonderful product, you should buy me. And once you've tried me and seen how wonderful I am, you should give my owner a call because you'll probably like this business he's in. So we don't know. Now, if we assume that it doesn't work, then there are no questions. And if there are no questions, there's no need to pursue it further. It just doesn't work. But what if it does? What if that person was wrong? You know, I've actually seen somebody who's making a lot of money at it, somebody that I know. And then you'll hear, oh no, but they're at the top of the pyramid. Okay, let's assume that's correct. But wait a minute. I've looked at this company, and there are people that have gotten in, gee, when the company was 4 or 5 years old, and they've gone to the top. So, and more than one. So network marketing must work for somebody. Maybe it wouldn't work for me, but can I really say that it doesn't work? And if it's working for somebody, what do they have that I don't? Oh, you know, they're really good at this and everything else. The only thing they have that I don't is they've invested time and they've gotten some experience. Well, I may choose not to, but can I invest time? Yes. When I invest time and I work through the process, will I gain some experience? Absolutely. So challenge your assumptions so that you can discover your inner truths, because that is what can propel you forward. So that really hit home with me. Number three, and they all do actually as we move on down this. Number three is really powerful because what he said was, speak in the language of the person that you wish to become. Speak in the language of the person that you wish to become. Let's think about that. Let's apply it to network marketing, for example. Brand new person gets in, they've been in a month, and They say, you know, you say, well, how are you doing your network marketing business? And they say, well, I've been working a month and I'm a guppy. You know, and let's say the guppy is the first level of the ranks in your comp plan. Okay, let's look at another person, or that person, once they change their point of view, says, you know, I've been working about a month on my journey to Starfleet Commander, and I've already made it to Guppy, because that person is on a journey to Starfleet Commander, and that's what they're looking at. That's the picture that they see. And what's cool about that is once you declare that, if you look at any compensation plan, especially specifically your own, the ranks are the path. You're a guppy, what's next? Bronze, what's next? Silver, what's next? This, but those are all bus stops on the way to the journey to diamond. And let me tell you what's interesting about that. I've met people in this business who told me when they first started, all they could ever believe they were capable of earning was $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And guess what? That's all they ever earned. But now, when I met them, they were at the top of their field. And you ask them again, you know, I have a friend who's a blue diamond in a company, and she told me, you know, I no longer see limits. I no longer believe that there's a limit to what I can accomplish. I no longer believe I'm not capable of doing anything. But here's what's even more interesting. As she spoke in the language of the person she was choosing to become, her picture changed. She no longer talks about money. Now she talks about the lifestyle that she's able to achieve. She and her husband have bought a cabin. They just bought a camper. They're going to go trek around and see the world. They've helped a multitude of people also achieve high ranks within their company. And that's what they talk about now, the difference that they're able to create in their own life, in the lives of others. The privilege of being able to go out and share with people that their lives can be different. And you have to really think about this, because let's challenge another assumption. When you look at people that are at the top of the space in the profession of network marketing, they're making high six figures a year, 6 figures a month even. Some are approaching 7 figures a month, and they are still working. They are still out there every day. Do you think it's about more money? They're making money. They have disposable income. They're buying stock, hopefully. They're investing money. We're investing money. I've done it. Why do they keep going? Because the person that they choose to become is about making a difference. It's not about money anymore. So speaking in the language of the person that you choose to become not only manifests itself in the picture that you will see, because our self-talk is the most effective talk, the most positive or the most damaging thing we can do to ourselves, but also it makes the conversation much more interesting. You know, Adam Braun's example, as I watched this video, was he said when he was 24, he had what he thought was his dream job as a management consultant in a top Wall Street firm working with like Fortune 500 companies. But when he would go out to social functions or bars or parties and people would say, what do you do? And he'd say, I'm a management consultant on Wall Street. He said it really wasn't an inspiring opener that propelled any conversation forward. But then he had always had this desire that had crystallized that he wanted to build one school. So then he started telling people, well, I'm in consulting, but what I'm really focused on right now is I'm going to build a school in the developing world to help underprivileged children that have no access to education, you know, get educated so they can become entrepreneurs and change the world. Now, wouldn't you want to engage in a conversation with the second person? I have to admit, I wouldn't want to talk to a guy at 24 who's a management consultant on Wall Street. There's nothing wrong with that, but at 24, it seems to be such a cynical place to be. So speak in the language of the person that you choose to become. Number 4, also a biggie. Make the little decisions with your head. Make the big decisions with your heart. Your heart will never lead you wrong. And if you make the little decisions with your head, it will protect you when it comes to the bigger decisions. If you use logic and you thought things through with the small decisions, the environment that you are in when the big decisions come, make it okay to go with your heart with the big decision, because you've already been insulated by the logic of the small decision. Example, use your head when you decide where to go to dinner, of course. Use your head deciding on who to go out with on a first date. It's a first date. You never know where it may lead. Use your heart when it comes time to decide who you're going to marry. follow your heart when it comes to the big life decisions. And I think that that is so powerful, because there are a lot of small logical decisions that are necessary to be successful in the world of entrepreneurship, really in anything, but particularly in the world of entrepreneurship, because there are no governing outside forces that will make you do things when the mood doesn't strike you. If you have a job, absolutely, if you don't show up and you don't do the work, you will get fired. But when you're an entrepreneur who is motivated to create something of value for others so that you can create great value in your own life and that you can propel yourself to where you want to be, nobody's going to show up when you're not doing that, when you're not doing the deal. Nobody's going to show up when you're not practicing the necessary elements to get better, when you're not thinking yourself through the days when you just don't want to pursue. That is all happens because of what you are looking at, the prize. What is the end result? What is the picture that I'm created by being here? And if that's not something that your heart is in, you have no chance of seeing it through. So it has to be something that resonates with your heart. That's the big decision. It has to be something that makes sense. Those are the little decisions along the way that you make with your head. And this just amazed me. And number 5, like number 1, number 5 is one that you've heard before, I'm sure. It's something that you say to yourself, that you say to others when you're helping them, coaching them, teaching them, training them. And I'm sure has been said to you by me and Travis and other people and a multitude of other people and pretty much anybody you ever listen to in any format to get better. Knowing where you are today and knowing that the world is going to change dramatically over the next decade, what is it that you can do that is going to impact the greatest amount of people? How can you create an impact and create a positive outcome for the greatest amount of people? And that question is key because it will dictate your future. You see, the people in the world, the majority of the people in the world that make a lot of money, make it as a byproduct of having created great value for others. The greater the paycheck in direct and network marketing, the greater impact you're having. So basically, it's a way of keeping score. Every time your check goes up, you know that more lives were touched. And it's important because impact is what can help you make good decisions for your business and become a great leader. You want great leaders search for the road that will have the maximum impact for the least amount of time. They follow their heart to that degree. And we look for people that can also have an impact. That's what you're looking for. Not the person who can make you a lot of money, not the person who can do it without help, but the person that can be a great influencer like you are seeking to become so that they can impact the most people. That's the ripple effect. A small group of people can change the world. They often do, because those people are people of convicted. They are all in with their hearts and they are seeking to cause maximum impact, which creates a movement. So that helps you determine where to spend your time, because sometimes the people that we help, no matter how hard we try, we want it for them more than they want it for themselves. And even if we were to be successful, what would the impact, the ripple effect be from the time that you invested there? Because you want to invest in those that will invest in those that can lead a small group to become a large group that will change the world. So those are the 5 pieces or the 5 phrases that can change your life. And it's so heavily resonated with me. It's so heavily changed my outlook that I was sitting there thinking about actually the story that he was telling. And he was talking about building one school. And I thought, well, how hard can that be? How hard can it be to go gather a group of people and build a school? And I have a challenge with charity, not because I don't think we should all do it, we do, but because it's not sustainable. And this was something that I listened, I went back and I replayed, because one of the things that Adam Braun taught that I think so effectively fits our space, although it's a little bit different, was he was talking about the nonprofit world. And he said, when I first got started in the nonprofit world, I looked at it and thought, what stupid language. Nonprofit, what industry, what profession ever talks about what they're not? You know, do you get up every morning? So does somebody who works in the automobile industry get up every morning and say, I'm in the non-airline industry? Of course not. It's not positive. And even though when you think about a nonprofit, what is it? It's an organization that has a 501(c) tax structure that enables them to not pay tax so that all of the money that they raise can go to the cause that they are promoting. But let's talk about that cause. 99% of charities that are good and wonderful are designed to lift people from poverty, help people that are infirmed, help people that are under some form of suffering be lifted up to a better quality of life. Well, that may not be about making money, but it's profitable. It's profitable for the people that it serves. And guess what? It creates meaningful experiences for those of us that go out and do those things. I feel good when I help make a difference in someone else's life, when I go raise money for a cause I believe in. So what he said was, they're not nonprofit companies, they're for-purpose companies. They may take advantage of a 501(c) tax structure, but they're operating on purpose. Because all of us, if we're not working with purpose, then it never really has a chance of being as great as it can be, because the purpose, the picture that drags us through the days. And as I thought about network marketing and my love affair with this profession, you know, going on soon to be 30 years, and I think that's longer than I've had a love affair with anything or anybody, I realized we are a for-purpose profession. Because everything we do, if we're doing it correctly, is not really about the products, although they're wonderful, and they do create a positive impact in people's lives, but they propel the ability to share with people a methodology that without a lot of money, without a lot of schooling, without a fine training, they can change their life, change their world, change the world of those around them. And that's a lofty purpose. So we operate in this for purpose space. And as I watched all this, I thought, you know, well, how hard can it be to go build a school? That can't be hard. So I actually had Curtis watch this video later on, and I said, you know, should we build a school? And he said, yeah. And I said, why? And he said, because we can. And if we can, we should. So 2 days ago, in this frame of mind that I just needed inspiration, I was just letting everything get to me and I was feeling not creative, I decided to go seek inspiration. I went to TED, and I encourage you to do this. And I started going through titles that sounded like I might enjoy the talk. Gave the first one 90 seconds, wasn't for me. Gave the second one 7 minutes because I wasn't prepared for martial arts, and landed on a third that so completely resonated with me that I'm now developing this new training, of which you are somewhat being guinea pigs today. And for that, I thank you, because it helps me to be better. So you're mentoring me. And I also apologize, because there will come a time when I will do this much more effectively and not ramble quite as much as I did today. And it inspired Curtis and I to be starting this because we can sort of club, where we're going to go out, and the first thing we're going to do is build one school, and then I'll let you know how that goes. But all that happened in 20 minutes. So to wrap this all around, what if you were to go out today, tomorrow, sometime this week, and you know, there are other resources, but let's start with TED. And you go to TED.com, or you go search YouTube, TED on YouTube, and you find that talk, however many times it takes you, that captures your attention in the first 3 minutes. You know, you watch it, and you start to ask yourself, well, how does this apply over here? And what is this making me think about? And how is this changing my thinking? So now you've invested some time. And once you have a chance to sit on that, you learn a little bit about it, you decide to go teach it to someone else. Even if only this is the talk, go watch it and let's talk about what we've learned. You've now moved to leadership. You're now a teacher. You're now impacting others by helping to open their minds, helping them, because an expanded mind will see an expanded life and an expanded list of things that are possible, which in turn will carry out and change the world of the people around them. And who knows where that leads. And for me, you know, in 20 minutes, you know, because we can is born, and we're going to go, you know, build some schools, and we'll be coming to all of you to help us. And guess what? It's not going to be a charity thing, because that's not sustainable. That was, I was saying earlier, I have this problem with charity, because if I went to all the people I knew and said, I love this cause, give me money, they would. But then what happens when the next cause comes along? So we're actually going to create like an education environment where everybody can participate, where it probably won't cost a lot of money, if any money at all, but it'll be far from free. And I'm very excited about this, and I'm going to do it because I'm speaking the language of the person I'm choosing to be. And that's somebody that takes a step back and says, how does what we do every day, how can we utilize that with the resources that we have to help even more people, to help the world 30 years from today, not just those around us who are looking at 3 months from today. So 20 minutes can change your life. 20 minutes with the intent of learning so that you can help others with what you've learned can change a multitude of lives. And that's kind of everything I wanted to go over with you today. But the Q&A is on, and we've got a lot of viewers. So does anybody, oh, 1 second though, 1 sec. I'm going to bring you a little bit of a surprise right this very second. But in the meantime, does anybody have any questions, any comments, any thoughts, anything that they would like to say or ask me about, or anything that I can share with you, or something along those lines? And I'm not looking at the screen at the moment because I'm going to give our special surprise person a link. So let me hold on 1 second. Oh, wowzy, wowzy, wowzy. This is taking forever to come up. Don't you just love that? Okay. All right, this. All right. No. All right, all righty. Sorry about that. I am a techno idiot, as we all know, and I had a little bit of a challenge getting this link out, but I wow. Well, this video will never make it into the annals of, you know, professionally done. We want everybody to watch it with my sneezing and my techno idiocy and everything else. But let me see if I have any questions. Anybody got anything? Hello in Vegas. And yes, Tony, I little doubt that you would know what TED Talks are. And oh my goodness, not a problem, David. I don't really like talking to myself, but I kind of keep imagining all of you there because you've been so sweet and you've given me your questions on the side, as we all know. And I had a little bit of a challenge. You gotta put on headsets on. I'm got the video on. You got my video on or something, so I'm hearing myself 10 minutes before. You know, professionally done. We want everybody to watch it with my sneezing and everything else. But let me see if I have any questions. Anybody got anything? Hello in Vegas. And did you turn it off?
Do you want me to stop the broadcast?
No, not stop the broadcast. You were watching the broadcast and we were all hearing it back. Yes. Anyway, folks, this is your surprise. I know she helps you with a multitude of things. You see her operating in the group the entire time.
Sorry, guys. I ran. I was like,
and everything else. And she actually is the person who told me, after watching me do this to the first set of guinea pigs, you were talk number 2. And it takes about 10 or 15 times to really develop a level of comfortableness with something where you're not really thinking, you know, I'm getting back into your comfort zone. So she was the one who suggested that maybe you guys would like this, and we did this today. And so I brought her on so she could say hi, and you could all say hi to her. But before, let me answer a couple of these questions. Oh, the question.
You guys rock. You guys rock. Legacy.
ILT is invest, learn, and then teach. And that comes to me from Ray Higdon, teacher, network marketing professional, online marketer, blogger. Ray is just one of those people you love to hate because he can do everything, and he does it while looking really good and while making it look really easy. And if that's not bad enough, he married the most beautiful girl in the world named Jessica Higdon. And the only person who's better at social media than Ray is his wife, Jess. And she also makes all the stuff that I can't do look very easy. But it was an amazing training that I got from him. I've utilized it effectively ever since, and you can as well, because it really is what we do. If you think about it, ILT really describes the network marketing profession. We get started, we invest maybe a little money in some product, but really we make a commitment to invest our time in something that we are not yet schooled in, so we feel very incompetent, and but we commit that we're going to invest our time, that we're in our money a little bit, and we're going to learn how this profession, this space operates, this paradigm shift that all of us have to go through to understand it. And then we're going to go out and we're going to share that with others and teach those that are interested in changing their lives what we've done. So really, his little ILT thing, which was really only how to be able to go out and be able to build a presence as an expert and build your authority, which was to learn and then teach, really is it's a recipe for life. I can take ILT and the 5 phrases we went over today, and if I never have anything else to guide me, I can apply that to any new situation, and I'm going to get better results. And I think that you guys will too. So any questions, any thoughts? Do you like this? Do you hate it? Should we never do it again? Should we do more of it? Are you interested in, finding out how you can help go make the world a better place for people, which you're doing every day with Mint? You guys tell me what you want, and we'll hang out for a little bit before we call this a day. Colin, do you have anything for everybody? Or do they have any questions for Colin? Because I know she makes everybody's lives run smoother. I know how lucky you are to have that happening for you. It's been going on for me. She's been doing that for me almost 2 years now, I think. I can't keep up. But any questions, any thoughts, anybody, anything?
Well, for me, for those guys, you guys rock in Legacy. I love your energy, and thank you guys for coming on a Google Hangout and commenting. Thank you for commenting on Facebook. The interaction, the energy is awesome. So thank you guys for showing up. And then when those of you who get to watch the replay, you're just going to be blessed by this information. Like Lisa said, I saw this and I was like, yes, you have to share this with everyone with Mint. So thank you for showing up, guys.
I'm going to go over the 5 phrases again, because I've got a couple of people here that have asked me to repeat them. So grab a pen and we'll just go through them from start to finish with no commentary from me. 1 is get out of your comfort zone. 2 is, excuse me, 2 is challenge your assumptions so that you can discover your inner truths or your truths. Challenge your assumptions so you can discover your truths. 3 is speak in the language of the person you wish to become. 4 is make the little decisions with your head and the big decisions with your heart. And 5 is from knowing where you are today and knowing that the world will change dramatically in the next 10 years. Here's the question: what can you do, or what can I do, that will have the greatest impact on the most people? In other words, what can I do that will help the most people? What impact can I make that will help the most people? In other words, what is your purpose? Live your life on purpose, and everything else will work out the way it's supposed to. So now I've repeated them all, and I'll see if that gave anybody any time to come up with any questions, anythings. Okay, I think that we're pretty much good to go. I want to thank everybody for giving me your time this morning. I know how valuable, this evening for you, how valuable it is. The TED Talk that I used as the basis for this kind of lesson talk, whatever you want to call it, plethora of ideas spitting out of my mouth, is the 5 phrases that will change your life by Adam Braun. You can find it at TED or on YouTube. And I would encourage everybody, if you take this challenge, go to TED, find the talk that resonates with you, and I want to know your results. This is one where you can really help me. This is where you mentor me and help me get better, and I appreciate it. Let me know, did it make you think a little bit differently? Did you get any aha moments? Did something tweak? How can you apply it to what you're doing every day? How can you turn it into a talk or training that will help impact others and clarify ideas for other people so that they can have a better picture of where they are going, that helps them achieve more in their journey to diamond in the MLM profession? And I would very much like to hear your results. You can send them to me, Facebook Messenger, send them to Colin, put them in the Facebook group, email me, call me, Skype, Hangout, smoke signals, whatever we use. I would very much like to hear. And as always, if there's anything that we can do to be of service, we're here to serve you. Curtis will probably be here next week since I did this one. Colin?
No, thank you, Lisa. Just like you said, 20 minutes. Look what it's done. Look what it did for you, and look how much you've blessed all of us. From
It's
that.
so funny. I was sitting here thinking, next Friday morning, we can't do it because Friday morning we're flying to Lauren's graduation. We'll be back in the States. And I thought, but wait a minute. It's actually Thursday night when I'm over there. So we can do it. I'm so turned around. So it may be Curtis, it may be both of us, it may be me, but it will probably be Curtis because we're kind of going to change off a little bit and then maybe once a month do something together because we're going to amp up this format because this is 2015 and there are a lot of lives that have to be changed and it's time to pick up the pace and up the game and go to the next level. So that's our goal to help you starting in the next weeks, months, and throughout the rest of the year. So from Hong Kong, love and hugs. Colin?
Hugs and kisses from Fresno. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, guys.
All right.
I'll get the link up. Bye-bye.